Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
The Mandalorian director, Rick Famuyiwa, revealed the hidden connection of the Star Wars show's title to Bo-KATan Kryze. Aside from Din Djarin, Season 3 of the hit Disney Plus series The Mandalorian prominently featured Katie Sackhoff's Bo-KATan, pushing her into the forefront alongside the other Mandalorians. Some critics and fans pointed out that this move meant that the show's title was not only referring to Din Djarin anymore. So, what is the overall importance of Bo-KATan in the future of The Mandalorian, and the hidden meaning behind it in The Mandalorian Season 3? In the Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, The Making of Season 3, The Mandalorian director and executive producer Rick Famuyiwa confirmed that the title of the show also refers to Katie Sackhoff's Bo-KATan Kryze in Season 3, rather than just Pedro Pascal's Din Djarin. Rick Famuyiwa had explained why Bo is considered the titular protagonist as well in Season 3, citing her story and her journey. As Rick Famuyiwa says that, in full quote, Bo in many respects this season is also the Mandalorian, because it's so much about her story and her journey, and her initial ideas of going back and bringing her people back together that had got derailed after she lost the Darksaber in Season 2, ending that quote right there. And so, as I had mentioned earlier on at the beginning of this video, this isn't something that's necessarily new. This is something that a lot of us Star Wars fans had talked about and discussed during The Mandalorian Season 3, and was very often questioned of why Bo was getting so much screen time. It isn't necessarily because she is the protagonist, but she's a secondary protagonist. Shows most times and will have more than one main character. For example, the Breaking Bad show has Walt and Jesse Pinkman, both as kind of main characters. The Walking Dead, and not to mention Star Wars The Clone Wars, features many episodes that focus on Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan, and even other characters outside of that. So yes, it is a very real thing to have more than just, well, one main character in a show. One Star Wars fan had pointed out that any Mandalorian could be the main character, explaining why Bo-KATan took to the spotlight in Season 3 of the show. As they said on Twitter, I think that the reason because the show is called The Mandalorian and not the epic adventures of Din Djarin and Grogu, and was that way since Season 2. Any Mandalorian could be the main character. The season is all about Bo-KATan. As that Star Wars fan maybe leads in the sense that maybe multiple seasons of the show are able to be, well, focused and centered around maybe one separate other Mandalorian. Another Star Wars fan had took into Twitter to say that this is all being laid out of a big what-if scenario involving Bo-KATan for Season 4 of the show. As they read from Twitter, Season 3 really did feel like a series finale in the end. I like a lot of ideas about time jumps, but I have a different theory. What if this meant to be in the finale of Din's story as the titular Mandalorian, and that they create a new main character, or Bo-KATan, for Season 4. I do have to admit that this is a very interesting fan theory, but I think that this is something that they would have made, well, more concrete in that idea of passing the torch down to, well, maybe Bo-KATan in this sense. But it is a very real idea to see in the future of the show. Let me know what you guys think about that one in the comments down below. Another Star Wars fan took to Twitter saying that gave a fitting explanation of why The Mandalorian is not just Din Djarin's story. As they read from Twitter, the show is called The Mandalorian, not the Din Djarin. Yes, he's the main character, but there are other Mandos that deserve to be fleshed out more, like Bo-KATan, the Armor, and Paz Vizsla, and we also are all seeing more of Grogu's backstory, which I do believe that brings up an interesting idea and fan theory before of what if the show is called The Mandalorian not because of Din Djarin or Bo-KATan or anybody that we might suspect, but much rather because of Grogu. He is technically an adopted foundling of Din Djarin, and well, this is his journey of becoming a Mandalorian. I do believe this to be a very real idea that we could see more of in the future of this overall show and universe. Another Star Wars fan had took to Twitter as they pointed out that Din is the ideal Mandalorian. As I read from Twitter, the Mandalorian has never been simply about Din Djarin. Yes, he is the main character, but the point is that he's the ideal Mandalorian. He's a loyal, just, and kind warrior who honors his heritage. This is another very interesting idea to bring up. He does very much embody what it is to be a real, ideal Mandalorian that all Mandalorians should take after, but they don't, because They're only human. However, the user then mentioned that Bo-Katan needed Din in Season 3 to help bring out the ideal qualities of being a Mandalorian in order for her to lead her people as a true leader that we see towards the end in the finale of Season 3. As they read, Bo-Katan had such a major presence in Season 3 because she needed Din to help bring those qualities out of her in order for her to lead her people once again. She didn't hijack the show. The third season needed to be about something bigger than Din and Grogu, the retaking of Mandalore, the home of the Mandalorians, and they were vital to that mission success. Not all is a waste. Except for maybe the Dr. Pershing episode. I still don't understand that, to be honest. That's me talking, not the Twitter user. Anyway, meanwhile, in the same Disney Gallery episode, Sackhoff had reflected how she was able to learn Bo-Katan all over again, from animation into live action, and how that's different. And maybe even for what that means for her character in Season 3 of The Mandalorian. As she reads, when the idea came up for me to play her in live action, I really had to stop and think about it, because I had absolutely zero idea of what she even looked like not animated, so I really had to learn the character all over again, and translate that into movement, and the way that she used her mouth, and the way that she maybe walked and stood, and really started all over again, which was harder than I thought. Ending that quote right there. This here all being said, we discussed a lot of interesting fan theories and ideas from Twitter's side, but what does this mean for the future? Will Bo-Katan be the new Mandalorian protagonist in Season 4? I think the quick and short answer to that is no. Maybe she could have her own show, but I do believe that the Mandalorian belongs to Grogu and Din Djarin. The confirmation that Bo-Katan is already the main protagonist in The Mandalorian, however, isn't necessarily surprising, considering that the character's extensive journey in Season 3 and how much of a role she really played in that show. Still, Rick Famuyiwa's latest remarks may hint that a shift in terms of leadership could happen in The Mandalorian Season 4, of where maybe we're able to see a more official passing of the torch from Din Djarin to Bo-Katan. Given that the Season 3 finale appears to confirm that Din Djarin and Grogu's main story arc is, well, now complete to a point, and what has often been described as a soft reboot of the show, there's a strong chance that Bo-Katan could end up being pushed to the forefront even further in the upcoming season. There are many ways in which Season 4 could entirely focus on Katie Sackhoff's Bo-Katan. For starters, the story could tackle Bo-Katan's journey of finally becoming a true leader alongside the challenges that come along with it, of what it means to lead the people of Mandalore. That doesn't mean that Din Djarin and Grogu will be out of the picture entirely. It's possible that the pair could show up in Season 4 still, and be in supporting roles. Kind of in a way, I don't want to say it, but similar to what they were for some scenes and some episodes in Season 3. Doing this would allow the show to continue with several more seasons, with future stories focusing on new Mandalorians moving forward. Anyway, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. As for me, I don't necessarily agree with that, and I think that if for anything, Bo-Katan deserves her entirely own show. The question from that is it something that's really necessarily needed and is wanted by the fans? I don't know, and I can't say if there's much of a story for Bo-Katan left to be told, so let me know what you guys think about that in the comments down below, and the rest of everything that we discussed in today's video. I would love to hear what you guys all think. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. May the Force be with you as always, guys. Have a great one, guys. Peace out.